That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about
Novocaine,
the fifth film directed by Dan Berk and Robert Olsen, which Paramount Pictures is releasing March 14th, 2025.
Do you know these directors' other films?
We did review their last film, I do believe, called Significant Other, starring Micah Monroe. She was also in their film previous to that, Villains, which I did see and didn't quite care for, starring Bill Skarsgård and Micah Monroe.
What is Novocaine about? When the girl of his dreams is kidnapped, a man incapable of feeling physical pain turns his rare condition into an unexpected advantage in the fight to rescue her. What is your pull quote?
Jacques Quaid finally manages to be engaging in Novocaine, a charming, violent rom-com that wears its numbed heart on its goofy sleeve.
Mine. Novocaine is charmingly ridiculous.
Charmed.
I did like this movie.
I was not looking forward to seeing this at all. And so, yes, with those very low expectations, I enjoyed it.
So the story is basically what I read. Jacques Quaid plays the assistant manager of a bank who starts dating his employee, a bank teller, falls for her, and then one day the bank gets robbed, she gets taken hostage, and he decides to go save her.
Basically the next day after falling for her.
But it's important to know that he has a condition called CIPA, which stands for congenital insensitivity to pain with anhidrosis, which means that he can't feel pain or temperature. Mm-hmm. So for an hour 15 of this movie, it's Jacques Quaid trying to find his lady love and obviously getting hurt in the process, but not being able to feel it. Ultimately, he does find her, but then a gag I did not see coming is that she is in or was in cahoots with the bank robbers. In fact, the leader of the group is her damn brother, played by Ray Nicholson.
Yes. It's a very Nepo baby film, yeah.
Which, of course, is devastating, or confusing at least, to Jacques Quaid's character. But then she proves that she really does like Jack by trying to stop her brother.
I mean, that's out of the femme fatale guidebook, that character, for sure.
So Ray Nicholson's able to escape in an ambulance once the police show up, but unfortunately, Jacques Quaid was in the back of that ambulance because he was, even though he can't feel pain, he can still be injured. So there's a final showdown where now, who plays his little girlfriend?
Sherry Amber Midthunder, who is in Prey, the Predator prequel.
So the final sort of segment of the film is her trying to rescue Jacques Quaid's character, and she does. Mm-hmm. Of course, Jack is in trouble with the law, I would seem, because in the process of all of this, he stole a police car. There were 3 bank robbers, not including Sherry. Her brother plus 2 other guys who are brothers. Mm-hmm. Jacques Quaid ended up killing the 2 brothers and like maiming a tattoo artist in the process. But he ends up just getting 6 months house arrest, 5 years probation.
Maiming a tattoo artist, he straight up blinds this dude.
And then Sherry seems like she gets like 2 years in prison. Mm-hmm. So we flash forward a year and see that Jack is still in love with her and visits her in prison regularly.
For their 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, the end. Yeah. From the trailer, I thought this would be a little unbearable, but...
Yeah, the whole marketing campaign I really haven't cared for.
Yeah, but it's not, but I mean, the word I would use is charming. It is over the top ridiculous.
It's kind of like that Bob Odenkirk film Nobody meets maybe something like Tony Scott's True Romance, as in the violence adds maybe a gritty flavor to it, but there is actually chemistry between the romantic leads.
Yeah, and I liked Ray Nicholson well enough. I liked the detectives who are trying to find Jack and the bank robbers.
Matt Walsh and Betty Gabriel, I think, add a lot of flavor to really kind of throwaway roles in this scenario, especially Betty Gabriel. I mean, after kind of, I think, I don't use this word lightly, but kind of like an iconic moment in Get Out, I don't understand why she hasn't had greater roles, but I do like her. I disagree slightly on Ray Nicholson. I think he's better he's more well equipped than in some garbage that I've seen him in, but I still call back to Predator. Ray Nicholson looks like a predator mixed with a human, like from the Arnold Schwarzenegger franchise. But I don't really care for him. Jack Quaid, I kind of came around to a little bit on this, but it's kind of strange looking at him because he has his mom's eyes and his dad's kind of shit-eating grin.
The film opens with the REM song "Everybody Hurts," which I thought was cute.
Yes,
considering that he doesn't hurt.
They have a nice mix on the soundtrack because they also have Chapel Roan on there.
I will say I was a little. This little relationship feels inappropriate because
Yes.
it's a small community credit union, and Jack Quaid is the assistant manager, and he manages the bank tellers, it would seem. So it's like his direct report, who he ends up having sex with her after their first date, which was a really cute date.
It's cute. I had questions though, because as soon as I saw that happening, I turned to you and I'm like, well, he can't feel pain, but can he feel pleasure? And of course that she asks him that.
But they start by going out to lunch. And their lunch was funny because she orders cherry pie and he orders a milkshake, which does not seem like a nutritious lunch. But we find out that he's afraid of eating solid foods. The opening, when we see him getting ready for work that day, he's making a healthy shake. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's afraid to chew food, I guess, because he might bite off his tongue and not know it.
I guess on the spectrum of where cherry pie is used in cinema, you have Twin Peaks and Reindeer Games, and I guess in the middle would be Novocaine. There's also a Steve Martin film from the early 2000s called Novocaine that's not very good that I kept thinking of. Has a really decent Laura Dern supporting performance in it though. But maybe I was also holding that against it.
But he warms up to her and then she says, why don't we go out for a drink or meet me out for a drink? He does. And then while he's there with her, it's in the trailer, some guy approaches him and goes, oh my gosh, is it Novocaine? We didn't think you'd still be alive. Mm-hmm. And it turns out to be this guy who he went to middle school with, who's a jerk. And I thought a really fun moment in the scene is that because we hear Jack Quaid's like alarm go off a couple times before, and we learn that he has to set his alarm for every 3 hours to remind himself to go pee because he's afraid his bladder might explode. So while he's in the bathroom, it seems that Sherry has sparked up a conversation with this bully. So when Jack Quaid returns, the two of them are like having a fabulous time laughing and flirting. So as the audience, we're like, oh no, she's like a dirtbag. Mm-hmm. But it turns out that she's trying to set this man up for being a bully. And so basically she, in cahoots with the bartender, orders Jack and this guy shots. And the shots end up being like ghost pepper sauce.
Which means she somehow got that bartender's attention to do that.
But because Jack can't feel the pain, he's fine. But the guy is obviously very much in pain. And then they leave the bar, which of course makes Jack feel even more warm towards her.
Yes.
They go back to his place. Like you already mentioned, she says, oh, if you can't feel pain, can you feel pleasure? And then they're intimate. And we immediately cut to the next day when he's getting ready for work and he's all chipper. He gets to work all excited. And then we see him getting ready to approach her to tell her I had a great time last night when three men dressed as Santa Claus, it also happens to be the Christmas time season, mm-hmm. They walk into the bank and immediately rob it.
Which was giving me Silent Partner vibes where Christopher Plummer plays a bank robber dressed as a Santa. But also what I liked about that intimacy scene is they kind of show each other they're vulnerable with one another in an authentic way, and showing each other their battle scars because she was a cutter and she shows her abdomen. And I thought she had a really nice line there where she's like, we're really just kind of looking for someone to show ourselves to. I'm paraphrasing, but...
Well, earlier at work, she accidentally burns Jack with his hot coffee, mm-hmm. and she's kind of alarmed that he's not more in pain. And then she's trying to help him and rolls up his sleeve and sees a mark. And to the audience and her, it's unclear what it is, but then knowing that she's a cutter and the fact that he reacts negatively to her seeing his arm, mm-hmm. I think she connected with that.
Yeah.
But we find out that he's not injuring himself. He has like a full body tattoo on the front that he's done himself. And it looks really cool. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought the time they spent after the bar was really sweet.
Yeah, in a way that I think those kind of things seem like throwaway casual things in other films. I feel like there was some time taken in the screenplay to establish that. And I think that's what makes this work overall.
One thing I didn't like about Jack's character in particular is he's so apologetic. It's kind of painful.
Yeah, I wish they wouldn't have made him such kind of like a passive rube a bit. Like it would have been nice to see, because I think somebody that had his experience and maybe hasn't been, touched or had a relationship with another human, I think that his behaviors would come out in a certain way that would be kind of negative.
Yeah, I would imagine someone like him, based on how he explained his childhood, he would be very detached and cold. But we see that he's actually quite warm. The first day we see him at work, he's in his office with this gentleman named Earl, whose home is about to be foreclosed on because he is having a hard time since his wife died. And we see that Jack is very kind to him and was kind to the deceased wife. And ultimately, Jack ends up helping the man more than the man ever imagined. But yeah, I would think that Jack's character would be kind of cold and distant.
Right.
And like standoffish, which he is. He doesn't want to do anything. But once he does warm up to her, yeah, the way his trauma manifests is odd to me.
Earl's interesting because he pops up in another funny scene because Jack is all shot up and he's in pursuit of Sherry, who he believes is a hostage, and he needs medical attention. And
Well, it's important to know that he also is driving the car of the one brother he killed, and in that car is a bunch of money.
yes, so he throws Earl some more money. But Earl's store that is about to be foreclosed on, or is in danger of at least, he's like, it's lunch, I'm closed. I'm like, Earl, you need to...
You might want to work 24/7.
You might want to take whatever business you can.
We also learned that Jack Quaid, he understands, because he's very knowledgeable about like first aid and medical stuff because of his condition. And we see at Earl's store, he asks for an EpiPen. And Earl's like, oh, are you allergic to something I gave you? No, it's just, it's like adrenaline. It'll give me energy. So we see him give it at the shop to get pepped up, which comes back to play at the very end. But I thought that was kind of cute because it kind of falls in line with Sherry saying, oh, your condition, SIPA, makes you like a superhero. So I like that vibe. And then him, because even the score and the editing or sound editing of him taking the EpiPen where he gets all charged up, I like that.
Like when Uma gets a shot of adrenaline in her heart in Pulp Fiction. I don't know that an EpiPen, does it dilate your pupils like that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But there's a funny scene where the two detectives are trying to get in contact, or they're trying to find Jack Quaid's character. And the female detective,
Betty Gabriel,
says, well, let's get his number. And the male detective says, like, he's killed someone and like he's an accomplice in like a bank robbery. You think he's gonna pick up his cell phone? And then immediately we cut to the detective calling him, and he picks up like, yeah, this is Nate. That was cute.
Nate Caine, which kept making me think of Michael, but
It made me think, well, Nate Caine made me think of Novocaine, which is probably how he got his nickname, as well as his condition. So then he's trying to find this guy named Ben, because he believes Ben is the one who kidnapped Sherry, which he kind of did, but she wasn't in his car. But anyway, he finds the name of this tattoo artist, goes there, and it's this guy, this big tough guy. This scene's in the trailer where Nate,
with a swastika tattooed on
his neck, and he has where Nate punches the ground with like shards of glass.
That scene, that reminded me of, I don't know if you ever saw The Grey with Liam Neeson with the wolves, where he straps little small bottles to his fist to fight the wolf. It was reminding me.
I thought that scene was a bit much, but I do think when Jack ends up going to Ben's apartment and it's booby trapped like Home Alone, that was kind of cute. An important character I didn't mention is Nate doesn't have any friends because he's kind of a shut-in. So all he does is play video games, and he has one buddy who he talks to like
Roscoe, played by Jacob Batalon, who I guess is always going to be in that friend zone in films.
But his character is saying that he's painted a picture to Jack Quaid's character that he looks like Jason Momoa. He's 6'5", he drives a Harley Davidson, he has a man bun, women love him. But when I heard that voice, I knew it was that annoying ass character from Tarot.
In the Spider-Man films.
Which of course made me laugh because he's like the opposite of Jason Momoa. But I actually thought he worked really well in this film. Because
I find him grating in the Spider-Man films and Tarot. I mean, Tara was nobody's fault. That's just trash. But yes, I think he's served better for the skill set that he's honed, clearly.
And their friendship obviously grows as the story progresses. I think a really cute scene as well, which is in the trailer, is the brother, the brother of the brother Nate killed, shows up to his brother's apartment, and that was so confusing.
Wow.
Yeah, and Nate, Jack Quaid's character, is hanging upside down from one of the booby traps, so the brother decides to torture him. But initially, the brother was just going to kill Nate. But Nate had called Roscoe, his friend, and the friend said, fine, I'll come rescue you, but it's going to take me 10 minutes. So Nate had set his timer for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so he's trying to buy time before this man kills him. So Nate starts saying, oh God, whatever you do, please don't take your time torturing me.
Yeah, please kill me fast. Yeah,
just please kill me fast. So the guy goes, oh, well, when I was in the armed forces, this is what we used to do. And then he puts on some like loud ass music that was kind of like not appropriate for what was happening. Like some adult, like soft rock. And then he slowly tortures him, like rips off his fingernails and is like stabbing him in the leg, I think. But I thought that all of that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's. And again, I've seen the trailer, and the way that the context of the trailer made that again seem unbearable. But in the film, as we're introduced to the character and we go along, I think it does work.
I do think a very inventive kill is at that apartment with the booby traps. Jack Quaid's character gets an arrow through his thigh. Mm-hmm. So when this brother's trying to like strangle him, Jack puts him in like a headlock between his legs. So this man's legs are like in between Jack. His head is in between Jack's legs. And Jack takes the arrow and like knocks it through the guy's head and through his other leg. So it's kind of like shish kebab. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was pretty creative.
I feel like there's a lot of flinching, considering we know the character doesn't feel any pain. But I think that sounds like a painful experience itself, like knowing that you couldn't feel pain, because of course pain is a warning that something's wrong. But I don't know. I feel like the conceit it's troubling.
And but it works better than I thought it would based on the trailer. Again, I think the marketing made me concerned, but it plays out in a way that's much more effective.
The marketing and the casting, yeah.
But speaking of cringy things, when Nicholson finally has his final showdown with Jack Quaid, he like snaps his forearm, like just snaps it. Mm-hmm. So now Jack Quaid's radius or ulna, one of those bones is poking out and it's sharp.
The radius is the bigger one, right?
Yeah, but it's hard to tell which one, because either way, one of those bones is broken, and Jack Quaid uses that to stab Ray Nicholson through the neck and kill him.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty inventive too.
The arm bone connected to the head bone. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was a fun ride, I thought.
It was. I think that there are, as much as I like the two cops, there are choices that I think are kind of cutting corners. Like Betty Gabriel, who's wounded, gives Amber Midthunder her gun to go after her brother to kill her. It's like, I don't think that.
Well, that's why I think it's ridiculous.
Yes, it is. It's, but sweet in a way. And I guess you could say disarming.
What would you give Novocaine?
3.
I liked it. I would give it 3 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.